Thank you for keeping your dials here on Newsfile. Now, some more messages that have come in, and you sent these by text message. This one says, personality profiles are not just for suspects only, but for everyone who is of interest to the BNI. These two guys, to some extent, tricked the BNI officers by agreeing to be witnesses, and when they were required to give more information about themselves for the items of Captain Koda to be released, they refused. This is coming from Musa Mukaz. You work with the BNI? Let's know. But Clara says, if that's what they wanted, they should have still spelled out what they had to do. This one says, the BNI is gradually becoming a lawless state security agency. Maybe the solution is a declaration by the Supreme Court on their unconstitutional conduct. How can you arrest and detain somebody without a reason and refuse the person the right to counsel? This is from Frederick G. Sampson. Okay, also a lawyer. Some of us are losing confidence in the BNI. Ghana is a democracy. The BNI should not work for any political party. The tension in recent times as a result of the activities of the BNI is too much. May God bless us with leaders who care about the nation. This is from Reverend Edem. And a final one from Francis Kofi Danso is that national security operatives are sometimes funny. They arrested and deported some retired old security officials from South Africa who were brought in the country to the country under the auspices of a certified security company in Ghana to offer training to the people who offer protection to Nanado and Baumia. Yet they see nothing wrong with the importation of the two Gitmo detainees suspected to have been trained by Al-Qaeda. What an irony. Thank you for your messages. Thank you indeed. Now, let's talk about the president's accounting to the people tour. He's been on a tour all week, visiting various regions and districts and inaugurating projects, including new school buildings, water projects, providing, the sea, river transport, equipment and so on and so forth. And that has been tagged as abuse of incumbency. And during that, tour, he's also made some comments that has attracted a lot of attention about people lacking the skills to tap into the growing economy and make good of it. So we'll start with the accusations of incumbency and how some chiefs have also become targets of attack by some persons who feel that what the chiefs are doing is wrong. There are chiefs who are publicly endorsing the president and promising and asking their subjects to keep President Mahama, to give him a second term. And all of these have become issues. I'd like to start with Honorable Pepo. How important is it? How important is the accounting to the people tour?
Well, thank you very much. When you win an election, you win an election because the people have entrusted that power in your hands. And when they do so, it establishes a social contract, a contract that says that we want you to perform in a certain way to achieve a certain objective. In our part of the world, a key element of that social contract is to provide the needed developments to the people, infrastructure and others. And so it was not wrong when in two years into his term, Ghanaians led by the opposition were complaining that they were not seeing what the president was doing because it was part of the design that the people should be satisfied that the president and his men would fulfill their responsibility of ensuring a certain level of conduct to ensure development. So when they complain and said that they spend so much money, the government has spent so much money, but we cannot see the proceeds of it, it was important for the president to react to it and for his government to react to it. As part of the reaction was to produce the Green Book and then to follow it up with practical demonstration of what exactly has happened during the period of his stewardship of government. So
you have provided a borehole for me in my village.
Yes.
I live in my village.
Yes.
Opposition is telling me that you haven't done anything. You haven't provided a borehole for me.
No, they are not telling you. They are telling me.
Yes. So I need you to come to my village and point me to the borehole you have provided for me, which I may have been using even before you came.
No, the premises you sounded, I mean, you started with makes it illogical and not so much reasonable. But if I have provided a borehole for you and others, and somebody takes it up and says that you haven't got a borehole, it is not true that he has given you a borehole. I should come there to let everybody else see that you are aware, but the other person should also be aware that this is what we have used the money for. So it's not just about you alone, it's also about every other person.
You have given me money and you don't want anybody to know, for example, okay, and people say you are not doing charity.
Yes.
Should you be concerned
of course,
to go about revealing the people with whom
that is why I started by saying that we are in a regime, we are in a political dispensation where freedom of speech is allowed, where people are allowed to criticize, and when they criticize you, you have the right to respond. And when you are responding, it's in response to what the people are saying.
Why not allow the people for whom you have done these things be the ones to do the campaign for you, to talk about them?
But that's what people are complaining about. Now you are saying the chiefs are talking, and people are saying, why should they talk? I think that it should be the president who should do it. It should be the minister who should do it. It should be the person who is the agent of development who should point it out to the rest of Ghanaians. They are building a new hospital in Wa. They have given us lots of clinics. They have built lots of cheap compounds. They have built countless number of schools. The people are saying that.
You have stated them in the Green Book, which you are circulating to the whole world.
And not everybody can read it. It's not even sufficient to go around. You know, so
some of them you have made adverts of, very long adverts, expensive, you know, and you are playing on television.
Yes, so it's a combination of effort. It's not just one thing that satisfied everything.
Okay.
So I think that what the president is doing is very important, and it should behold on every leader to do same. He's starting a landmark of administrative responsibility that should be copied. That every single time you have done that, satisfied the people by showing the responsibility, showing that the responsibility they have entrusted on you is yielding some fruits, you should let the people know. Because it's even in accordance with the constitutional provision. You know, the directive principle of state policy should also make you responsible, ensure balanced development, and go beyond that to demonstrate it, that you are doing it. So there's nothing wrong with what he's doing. He's fulfilling his responsibility as a president, and we require him to do that.
And he's doing that how many months to the elections?
Well, it can even be a day to the election. Unless it is not allowed, he can do it as and when he provides the item.
He can do it a day to the elections on our money or on a campaign
as
fund.
long as he's president and as long as he holds that contract and is still entrusted with the responsibility, he can always do it as a president.
He's president
not
until
as an
the electorate say otherwise. That's what you mean?
Pardon?
He's president until the electorate say otherwise.
Yes. And it's difficult for him. For example, I've built a university for a people. I have decided to go to the university and cut a sword. Then you tell me that this one, because it's going to be benefiting you politically, take your own car and go and do it. It doesn't sound logical. So
there's something known as fair play. Do you appreciate that this is against that rule?
There is something called fair play. I do appreciate it. But who defines fair play? Should it be the opposition or should it be the government? For us, is fair play. For them, it's unfair play.
When you are in opposition, it's not fair play. When you're in government, it's fair play.
No, I'm saying that whatever is defined as fair play must be neutral, not from the opposition point of view and not from the government point of view. But for the meantime, in the absence of that neutral concept or definition of a fair play, each of us will define fair play as we understand it. But I don't think that is unfair.
Is it really the case that there's no neutral definition of what represents fair play?
Tell me. I don't know which books I can go and find it. You know, it's in your head. If you sit down now and say it, it must be in your head. You must be going towards giving a certain definition which will be agreeable with you. Maybe somebody listening will not understand.
Personal principles, ethics of morality, everything else will tell me what will be reasonably fair play if I am going to engage in any activity with some other person and what I'll be required not to do.
You know, this same question came up when, after the funeral of the president, or our former president, the president found it obligatory, you know, the goodwill we enjoyed from Ghanaians, taking the mantle to say thank you to the people. They said, don't thank them, don't go around and thanking the people. Now, he found it necessary right now to go say, they say I'm not doing anything, but lots of projects are done.
Do you really believe that the NDC would have been quiet if it were in opposition? And what played out after President Mills's demise, the president says, oh, you have come because it's traditional, that it's tradition and custom that when you attend someone's funeral, they come and say thank you to you. But attending the president's funeral is everybody's president. It's my president. I don't expect him to come and say thank you to me. And he decided to use the taxpayers' money to go around and say thank you when it was election period. And you are saying that if the NDC were to be in opposition, then it would not have found anything wrong with it. You
know, why shouldn't they find anything wrong with it if they feel that there's something wrong with it?
It's not evil.
And why shouldn't the MPP find anything wrong with it now if they feel there's something wrong with it? Anytime an opposition feels obliged to criticize, they are allowed to. That's what the game is.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not faulting them if they
can have their say and the government will have its way.
It is not that. What it is that at every point in time, they have their way when they speak. Okay. It is their way when they speak. If we take an action, it's our way when we take the action. You know, it's the judgment of the people of Ghana who will judge all of us at the end of it all.
Okay, let's hear the president, how he justifies it.
Yeah.
And then when we return, you will tell me whether you agree with those who say this is a smart way of using public funds to fund your campaign. When it's campaign time, find a nice opportunity and use public funds to fund your campaign. You don't need to have money as a political party. Let's hear President Mahama justifying the accounting to the people tour.
You're put in a position of leadership.
Wisdom.
Or you're giving a responsibility to discharge. It is necessary for you to account to your people and tell them how you have discharged that responsibility, and to also interact with them and find out what more they expect you to do. It is a charge that is placed not only on secular leadership, but also on traditional leadership. And that's why from time to time, our chiefs and traditional rulers hold festivals, sit in state, and talk about the states of their paramountcies and their kingdoms, interact with the people, and understand what the felt needs of the people are, so that they can formulate what new strategies to bring development to the area. It is the same with the mandate you gave me. 3.5 years ago, you swore me in as your president. And you swore me in based on a manifesto that we presented to the people of Ghana.
Yes, so you had the president there.
Something like my minister said, the government is going to show the green and tell the citizens what he's done based on the Green Book. But something, provision of basic amenities, infrastructure, is part of the government's business. It is something the government ought to do. And the government has representatives in all these places. So why should you move state resources to these places, telling the people what I told you I had done in the Green Book. I'm coming to show it to you live and colored. I really don't get it.
Because you, the opposition, you are misleading the people. You are
We are not misleading the
telling
people.
them these things are not on the ground.
That is not what we are saying. These things are basic. It should happen. As a president, you have the state resources at your disposal to provide your citizens with these things. So they are basic. You don't need to, move a whole state machinery to
evidence-based leadership.
Evidence-based. That is why you have representatives on the ground. You have your DCEs, you have your regional, you have regional ministers. You have your representatives on the ground. They can do those things. It's costing the nation so much money. And the president is telling us that he is not going on a campaign tour. But why is he going telling Ghanaians that President President Rawlings, President Kufuor were all given 8 years? So he should also be given 8 years. It's like it's a right for every president to be given 8 years. But that's not what the Constitution says. The Constitution says after every 4 years, if Ghanaians are pleased with your work, they will give you the mandate.
Is the NPP suddenly waking up to this reality that when you are in government and it's an election year, yes, you don't have to go around, inaugurate
we are not
programs
saying,
and
we are not saying you shouldn't go around inaugurating projects. But what we are saying is that title, accounting to the people, is not true. He's
your
campaigning.
problem is just with the title?
No. He's not being truthful to Ghanaians because he's rather campaigning. These things have been in existence for some time. And my issue is you have representatives on the ground. They can be doing these things. And you will be working. Once you can imagine the cost when the president moves from, one place with all the entourage and everything. And then the president says he's accounting to the state. But you see party officials,
Why should it be different with President Mahama? Why should it be different with him? Previous governments didn't do what you are suggesting now.
So are we going to say that because President A did it, President B did it, we should continue like that? I think it's high time we come up with legislation or a law to sort of help us in this regard. Because it looks like in 2008 it happened according to the IEA. And then in 2012, I think the Ghana Integrity, the GII report also, 2012, has stated this thing. I think we should come up with legislations that will guide some of these conduct so that at every election year, we don't have these problems. So I think the government can come to Parliament with something for us to also look at it and see how best we can help each other. But we shouldn't abuse incumbency. For how long? In other jurisdictions, if you incur, using state officials, if you incur a cost to a certain level, you are asked to pay something. But here, it is not like that. I think we should come up with something so that at the end of, we don't have the issues we keep on having at the end of every election year. In 2012, 2013, we all saw the Auditor General's reports. Everything went over and above budget. These are some of the things.
Interesting. And with someone who is on the Public Accounts Committee, you can clearly tell where her focus is about overspending at the time of elections. And the president is promising, and the IMF are also watching us so that we don't overspend our budget. Clara, see, now, do you ever think that this will change anyway? The CDD is on record. Almost every election year, before election year, speak against incumbent abuse of incumbency. Nothing seems to happen. Papa Kwesi Ndum started this, to talk about this about 3 weeks ago, and he was hammering on it, and now it forced the NPP to also join the debate, and now the president is forced to react. Initially, the NDC were saying they will not give Papa Kwesi Ndum that, space, so to speak, promote what he was doing. But they've enforced. The president himself has had to come and justify what he's doing. Do you think it's really justifiable?
To begin with, will this change? The first question was, will this change? I don't think this will change if all we do is every election year gather, complain about who is abusing incumbency and who is not abusing incumbency. As long as that is how we deal with the problem, it is not going to change. In principle, I don't have a problem with accounting to the people. I think every president, if I had my way, should account to the people. After all, the people elected you, so you have a duty to account to the people. So in principle, I don't have a problem at all with accounting to the people. The question is, if this was not an election year, would the accounting to the people be as elaborate as it is? The second question is, if this was not an election year, will the complaints about abuse of incumbency arise? So for me, the problem is that, like Abina said, we have no agreed definition as to what constitutes abuse of incumbency. We have none. So we have to address the problem. Until we address the problem, every government in power would decide what they think is abuse, and then it will just end up like it is a banter.
What do you mean by addressing the problem in a permanent way?
Political parties, institutions, civil society will have to come together and agree on what constitutes abuse of incumbency. We should have laws and regulations as to what conduct would amount to abuse of incumbency and what sanctions should be applied should those rules be breached. Then we have a starting point.
The IDEC, for example, Institute of Democratic Governance,
yes,
has been championing for a law that will give us when exactly is the political season, campaign season.
Yes.
So from what you're saying, can we say that when we have declared a particular period campaign season, when we enter that period and the president has to go around the country, he should not go on the taxpayers', funds? Are
we going to do that by speaking? If an institution comes up with an idea, it's a good idea, but is that idea binding on the government in power? It is not. I'm looking at a situation where we have something that is binding on them, much more than suggestions. We also have to look at the issue of political party financing and providing platforms. Why are we complaining about this? Because somebody gets the undue advantage to market their ideas to the electorate much more than their opponents, which is not fair. Every political party should have the opportunity to present their ideas to the electorate. So I think we have to look at the platforms. The IEA gives the presidential debates, for example. It's a good idea. It's something that is good, but I think it's not enough. If I would propose that maybe the media, multimedia, and other media institution could come together. I would suggest even give a platform to all presidential candidates in every region where it is not a prepared debate. You come, take questions from the people, address it. So it is a debate in the sense that you would be giving competing solutions to the problems that the people are going to present. So it can be done
as frequently as you find in the US, for example?
Exactly. Then at least the advantage is that people get a lot more opportunity to interact with the people putting up, to better assess them. So that the party that doesn't have enough money doesn't end up not being able to get its ideas across, or the people don't get the opportunity to assess those people because of unavailability of platform.
But the argument has been made that if you cannot mobilize enough,
yes,
to show your presence, then you are not worth our votes to be president, to form a government.
Well, if you cannot mobilize enough, yes, but then are we going to also indirectly agree with that? Then it should go to whoever has enough money.
Implicitly, we are mortgaging to the highest bidder.
Exactly.
Yeah, the rich, yeah.
So I think we should aim at a situation where we give people the opportunity to be able to assess the people who are putting themselves up to lead them.
So what do you say to, and I'll take your intervention you want to make, what do you say to those who also say the chiefs who on the campaign are pledging the support of their subjects for another term for the president, that they ought not to be doing this? What do you say to that, with your understanding also of the laws regarding chiefs and their participation in politics?
I must say that I was surprised when I read. The truth is, I didn't want to believe the reports. So I was skeptical that indeed it did happen. But if it did, I'm sure that the chiefs should know that. I mean, it's a secret ballot. You can't control how somebody else should ballot. And of course, they should be educated on what the legal provisions are with respect to their role in politics. And if anybody is found, the law is there, we should enforce it.
The law says they cannot actively participate in politics.
Yes.
Partisan politics.
Yes.
does that include not campaigning for a candidate of their choice?
Well,
because they vote anyway, so
do.
that is active participation.
Yes, but now if you are asking your subjects to vote for a particular person, are you not actively engaging in partisan politics?
How different is that from voting?
The difference from voting is that at least I do not come out to announce and tell other people that go and vote. I'm not saying, I don't want to proceed to interpret the law at this point.
Okay.
But I think if anybody feels that it is not right, that's why the laws are there. Let's enforce the law. Take them to court. Let the court pronounce on whether or not that conduct amounts to engaging in active partisan politics.
Okay.
What of even the civil servants? I think
maybe I should start with Kweku on that note of the chief's angle, because you have come in for some criticism, and there's this article that was written by Michael J.K. Bokok. I'm sure you know him. He's been writing profusely from the United States where he lives. And he's written to say, and the article is titled, Kweku Baako insults Ghanaian chiefs and hurts Akufo-Addo's interest. Then he comes to this part and says, his insults came in the wake of the endorsements being given by President Mahama by prominent chiefs in the areas he has visited during his, quote, Accounting to the People tour. Of particular mention here is the pronouncement of the acting Kumewuhene, Nana Adjuman III, and the chiefs of the Krobo traditional area, among others, who couldn't hide their appreciation for President Mahama's provision of much-needed development projects to their communities. He says, I'm fine, Kweku Baako's insulting language is understandable, but, okay, I find, that's what he wanted to say, I think it's a mistake, typo. I find Kweku Baako's insulting language is understandable, given the fact that he is unhappy at the massive show of appreciation for President Mahama as he interacted with the chiefs, and as he interacted with the chiefs and people benefiting from the government's development projects. I don't pity him at all. Instead, I laugh him to scorn. As the propagandist in chief on the media scene for Akufo-Addo, he's no doubt alarmed at happenings, fearful of the fate of his sacred cow at election 2016. I think I'll end it there.
Well, he's entitled to his opinion.
Right.
Free speech. So that's all. At least you are giving me an opportunity to react. That's also exercising.
You said that thing is unwise.
Yes, I said chiefs who do that are not wise. They are not displaying wisdom. That's supposed to be an insult, according to the author. Well,
he's not alone.
Yes, a lot. I've been bashed left, right, and center on social media, and some of them tagged me, expecting me to join a thread full of insults, real good insults. I declined the invitation because I didn't want to dignify their threats. Some are lawyers, some are NDC communicators and things. You want us to argue on substantive issues, let's do so, and cut out those insults. Now, let me tell you something. There is a distinction between a chief commending a president or a government for delivering development projects to his community, and a chief endorsing a presidential candidate or a president going for a re-election and saying that I'll give you 20%, 60%, 80%, or asking his people to vote for that candidate, whether an incumbent president seeking re-election or a presidential candidate of any other party who is gone there. There's a distinction. And I was saying those that are going beyond mere commendations and endorsing and virtually soliciting votes for a candidate, whether president or not, are not displaying wisdom, which is actually one of the attributes of chiefs and chieftaincy. This is a book by Justice Broby, S.A. Broby.
Foremost
It's
authority.
a fantastic book. It's the law of chieftaincy in Ghana. And I've been studying it for a while. It talks about Articles 276 and 943C, which, according to him, and well as a fact, are novel are some of the novel provisions in the 1992 Constitution. No similar provision appeared in any of the previous constitutions of the Gold Coast or Ghana. And now let me quote this thing he says. He says, from the knowledge of the author, that's him, as a member of the Consultative Assembly and chairman of the legal and drafting committee of that assembly that produced the current 1992 Constitution, it can be stated with some certainty that the policy reasons that led to the enactment of these provisions were these. First, a chief is a person who unites his subjects and all persons living in his domain. If he takes active part in party politics, he would divide the people under him between those who support his chosen political party, you can put candidate there, and those who do not support that party. I will explain further.
Otunfo himself has been very worried that recently he's come to say people should stop tagging him as belonging to one party or the other.
There's wisdom in that. Then Justice Brobe on page 5, where he talks of entrenchment of chieftaincy, after elaborating on the reasons why chieftaincy has been insulated from political influences, why we have given them some constitutional legitimacy and all the rest, ends up saying this. Ghanaians have such great respect, in some instances almost bordering on reverence for chiefs, that what the chief tells his people is in many cases instinctively obeyed. This view does not, and listen to this, this view does not exclude a situation where the chief may order his people to vote against a particular political party or candidate. This is in fact one of the underlying reasons why the 1992 Constitution bans chiefs from actively taking part in politics, as enshrined in Article 276 of the Constitution. The last point I will make before I proceed to make my own submission. He quotes from a book titled Ancient Asante Chieftaincy. I think it was published somewhere in 1964 by one Mr. Ernest E. Obing. And this is what the quote said. It says, then as now, the qualities that were required in a king or a chief elect were humility, but not weakness, respect for seniors and juniors alike, wisdom, I repeat, wisdom, strength of character, and most importantly, bravery. You know, I stayed away from suggesting or proposing that what the chiefs were doing was unconstitutional. I was looking at the spirit rather than the letter at this stage of my submission.
I thought you would stop there after quoting Justice Brobe, because after quoting Justice Brobe on chieftaincy, it ends the matter.
Well,
it's the foremost authority.
Thank you.
Thank you. Publisher.
Yes, so I chose my words
Court.
Carefully. I said what the chiefs were doing lacked wisdom. What they were doing shows that they are not wise. I didn't say they are foolish. I didn't insult them. I know a personal attribute, one critical attribute of chiefs and chieftaincy is wisdom. And apart from that, we have a legal regime. Look, it's the totality of our experience as a people, both during the colonial period and post-colonial, that brought us to this constitution. Okay? We had times when chiefs were distilled for political reasons, even under the Great Nkrumah government. After the 1966 coup, some of them were reinstated. So many problems. Under Champon, we had the worst form of sycophancy coming from chiefs who lined up to declare support for an unconstitutional disruption of the government. All these things, and I've been consistent from the 70s to today. Anytime the issue of chiefs and their role in politics comes up.
Are you anti-chieftaincy?
I'm a Republican, but I've become a realist. I'm a Republican, but see, we have a constitution that, based on our experience and our traditions, our culture, recognizes chiefs and gives them some prominence. So I'm a realist. I concede. I accept that. But the chiefs then must act within the confines of the law, so that, and even the ethics, you see, so that you don't create problems. You could read this book and you find a situation where this says that if the chiefs were to get involved in the partisan thing, there is a possibility of even getting some of your subjects to start agitating against you purely on political grounds, looking for all sorts of funny excuses to try and distill you.
But Kweku, what did you say? And do you think Justice Brobe will approve of what you said? Did you say those chiefs endorsing the president in the manner they are doing are not wise, or they are not being wise?
Oh, I said they are not wise. I won't lie. Because it lacks wisdom. What they are doing lacks wisdom. If it's the language that is wrong, I will apologize. And should I say they lack wisdom? You'd prefer that? Maybe. If that's the education I should take on board.
Just hold on one minute.
No, I haven't finished.
No, just hold on 1 minute. Do you find that language offensive?
I think because of the high reverence we give our chiefs, and because of the society in which we are, where people, when they speak, especially icons like himself, can be imitated by young people. You try not to say it as it is sometimes, especially when it points to a very important, eminent person.
I didn't mention any chief, though. I spoke in general.
What are you encouraging? That you try to say it not as it is?
Yes. It means that when it comes to, for example, if your father is speaking to you and his mouth is smelling, you don't tell your father your mouth is smelling. You find a way of saying it, and it amounts to the same thing. You know. So I'm saying that
So you are saying it's offensive.
It would have been better if he couched the same thing.
Yes, let's hear from him. What do you say?
I tend to agree with Honorable Pelpo. Like, you know, the way we revere our chiefs. Like the Equiapims will say, when they want to say you are stupid, they still have a way of, toning it down too. So maybe, but I believe, I really understand what Kweku is saying. It's the truth. Based on what he just read to us, that the chiefs are not in any way, like he said, beyond commendation for what the president has done for maybe your place. Beyond that,
what the president has done using our monies. Now you two, you quickly, and just some seconds before I get back to Kweku to finish on that point. So at least I have Honorable Pepo, I have Honorable Osayasari, all saying Kweku could have put his language better, could have chosen his words better, and that's, it's offensive. That's what they're refusing to say directly.
Honestly, I'm not saying it's offensive, but I think it should have, maybe he could have done it.
Okay. What do you say?
To be honest, I usually am one of those people who always would go for bluntness, because sometimes I say that when you are trying to put it another way, the message might get lost. But I also think that people have always also spoken to me about sensibilities, about being careful when you are talking about sensibilities. But I think I would leave it completely to Kweku. I think it is his opinion. If what he says it is, if he thinks that it affects people's sensibilities, and for that reason he wants to apologize, like he doesn't mind. But I think that one is
okay.
Well, first of all, I did not single out any particular chief.
Right.
But of course, some chiefs have been talking, so I expect people to have been looking at those chiefs. Let's be honest. And if people think my language, choice of words, the kind of language that I used was offensive, and it has their sensibilities and sensitivities, I sincerely and humbly apologize for the choice of word. But can I say what they did lack wisdom?
That's a mark of a great man.
Yes.
It's difficult.
Okay.
But let's come back. We are talking here, there's a legal regime, a constitutional regime. There's also the traditional attributes. Let our chiefs rise up to the occasion.
That's it.
And let the attributes expected of them reflect in what they do, especially in the public domain.
When you have chiefs who are subject to a certain, administrative architecture, which requires who is president of the day to supply them vehicles and to make available certain allowances and all of that.
All those
are you able to insulate them from?
All those things can be done. They can be beneficiaries of all those things. One, they are given openly. They are not given secretly. And indeed, the law demands that those things are done in certain aspects. Even chiefs can be appointed onto Council of State, Lands Commission, and
well,
all
they
the rest.
see these things as favors.
Unfortunately. But I think our chieftaincy institutions are growing. I mean, these days, more and more educated people, more skillful people, professionals are getting into it. It's a process. It will take some time. Okay, I'm not about to bastardize the institution, even though I've told you I'm a Republican. You know? But you see, back to the issues, and I had
and quickly.
Yes, you see, I had said that ordinarily, the president's thing, toying around, counting to the people, is no big deal at all, in my candid opinion. But for the fact that it's an election year, it may not even take on any added significance.
Okay.
It will be routine. What I have had difficulty with is the NDC communicators, with the exception of Mr. Ofosu-Ampofo, refusing to accept that there's an element of campaigning in what the president is doing. That's the issue I've raised. And I've said perhaps that refusal, which I think is cowardly, is because they think the issue of incumbency abuse will be raised for interrogation. That is what I have said. I have not even characterized what the president is doing as abuse of incumbency. I have not gone to that stage.
Okay.
All I have said is that if the president himself goes out there and says that, look, in view of the development projects I've done, give me a second term, he is soliciting for votes.
All right. Now let's hear what the president had to say again, which has attracted some criticism. But this is what Dr. Omane Boama, Edward Omane Boama, had to say in justification. He issued a statement and said, among others, that the accounting to the people working tour would afford the president the opportunity to once again reconnect with the good people of Ghana. In the said tour, it said that the statement said the said tour would afford the president the opportunity to explain policies, elicit feedback without filters, launch the conversion of polytechnics to technical universities initiative, inaugurate projects, and also inspect some ongoing projects. So this was a statement, you know, ahead of his going.
So can I finish with the incumbency thing? See, it's an unsettled issue.
Okay.
Since the Fourth Republic came into being. There were some issues before Fourth Republic, but we are restricting ourselves to the Fourth Republican thing. Right. It's an unsettled issue. We have been arguing, debating, and Clara referred to the financing of political parties. It was part of the idea that we should have state funding for political parties, which itself we haven't been able to interrogate well. Somewhere along the line, vehicles were given to all parties by the EC. Of course, it was state funded. Broadcast, in terms of television and radio broadcast, parties were given access. Those were the steps that were taken to address the issue of unleveled playing pitch, which, because the incumbent always has an automatic advantage.
Okay.
But what we haven't done is to consolidate and more or less legislate that these are the areas, because it's been a tough thing. When the parties are in opposition, they want it. When they get into government, they say, forget it. And both sides,
I was
those
asking
who have
Abena, you heard the way she went about it. You saw the difficulty that she had to navigate.
Yes.
Well, let's hear this bit of what the president had to say, and then we'll quickly wrap up on that and move on to revelations coming out of the Public Accounts Committee sittings. Let's hear the president once again.
You would envision that as the economy grows, it throws out natural jobs that people can take advantage of. But if you do not have the skills or you do not have the capacity to take advantage of a growing economy, then you will not feel it in your pocket. If you say feeling it in your pocket, it doesn't mean that the president is going to come from place to place and count money and give to everybody to put in his pocket. The economy will provide the opportunities, but it's for the people to take advantage of it.
Okay, so President Mahama there, somewhere in the Volta region, granting an interview and stating this. Has he been misrepresented in the manner in which we are chastising him all over for saying that, you know, we are a bunch of people who lack skills, so if you're unemployed or if you don't know, you find it difficult in the economy, then it means you don't have the requisite skills. And people are actually making some very weird, comments about it. That's what he's saying is that you should get the skills to learn how to create loot or something like that, do bus branding. That's the kind of skill he's referring to. Are we not being misrepresenting the president for political purposes?
Something. What I would say is that provision of skills for, the citizen. It's part of the government's duty to put enabling structures in place to equip the citizens with enough skills to find jobs and then to do what they are supposed to do to make ends meet.
Really? You expect the state or the government to equip you with skills?
Yes, that is why we have the polytechnics, we have, and ministers of employment. That's why we have so many, agencies and organizations all under the government.
Okay, so
yes, that's
those
what I'm talking about.
There, so
yes, and it's
the
the government duty to direct all these things, to see to it that they work efficiently. So
are they not working efficiently?
He himself has admitted it. That's why he's saying we lack skills. They are not doing what they are supposed to do for the citizenry. That is why he is saying we lack skills to take advantage of what is happening. But honestly, I don't see any boom in the economy. The economy is rather...
He says from the way some of us complain,
yes,
particularly in the media, by suggesting the economy is bad, there are no jobs and everything, and there's a certain expectation that the president should literally come and put money in your pocket.
We are not saying he should come and put money in our pocket. He said it some time back that he's going, if given the second chance, he's going to put money into our pockets. We never said anything like that. What we are saying is that he should create the enabling environment. Once you create the enabling environment, with this doomsaw where a lot of organizations are closing down, with high tariffs in electricity, high tariffs under ECG, that people are closing down their businesses and laying off workers. What do you expect them to do? They will demand something from you because you are the president. The buck stops with the president.
Clara, how did you understand the president?
I took it as an attempt to more or less wade off. I took it in that light, an attempt more or less to wade off the various assertions that are coming at him or accusations at him. Was it successfully done? I am not sure that it was. Yes, the statement to the effect that people need skills, there's nothing wrong with that statement. Yeah. It is true that people need skills. People also need to take responsibility and to actively search opportunities and apply themselves. It is personal responsibility. So there's nothing wrong with that. But like Abner said, whose responsibility is it to provide the avenue for the people to acquire the skills? Now, if the president, we have polytechnics, we have schools, are they able to cater to is the capacity enough to meet the demand? Are we saying that for all people who need skills, they are able to, the avenues we have provided already are able to absorb them? Now, if there are opportunities, maybe the people are not aware. So have we given the people information that there are opportunities here? The truth is, I've always said that it's not just only to this government. It's unfortunate that when you say things in an election year, people tend to want to take it into political contest. But we should face the truth as a country. And I would limit it to the Fourth Republic. We haven't done enough in terms of equipping the very intelligent people of this country, giving them enough opportunity to be able to exploit the talents that they are able to. Look at the way we've always been treating. Is it youth and employment? Yes. Look at what has been, what actually has been happening. We have a lot of we have universities that are not able to cater to the demand. Now we take, because of the numbers that we have, teachers have to devise all kinds of ways to be able to manage their classes. The question is it effective? So by the time that these people come out of these institutions and they have to compete with other people who had the opportunity to sit in smaller classes, have enough attention from their lecturers, get all the understanding that, let's be fair, when they come out of these institutions and these other people come out, can they compete effectively? we are not being fair to ourselves as a country. I think as a country, we have to address it holistically. I think we've been kind of politicizing it too much.
Honorable Pepo, what skills, what opportunities is the president talking about?
Well, in an expanding economy, jobs are created or opportunities are available for people to take advantage of. Since 2008 till date, our economy has expanded more than 100%. And so, logically, challenges are being posed, opportunities are available, number of investments have taken place, and people are engaged. And more is still happening.
So what opportunities are these?
So the opportunity, for example, if we have done lots of projects, a lot of schools are being constructed, new teachers are being engaged to teach there. In the course of construction, those who are unskilled are engaged in the construction work. Drivers are being employed, soon after the clinics, the new hospitals are finished, they need nurses. He's talking about those kinds of skills that will fit into the new trajectory that we find ourselves.
You're aware that there are many who want to be teachers but cannot be because we are not employing anymore. You are aware of many of the nurses who have been trained and have been bonded, cannot go and work in any private institution, and yet the government cannot absorb them. So the skills are there. The opportunities you say are there, maybe what is not available?
No, they are available, but there are some inadequacies in our system, which we have to admit to. For example, if the situation you have just described, that they are bonded and should work with government, and they would have wished to go and work somewhere, it's
they would have wished to work with government. There's no space in government's hospitals.
Yes.
So they are sitting at home, and yet they cannot go anywhere else.
No, I believe that can be resolved. In other words, let me address the president's point he made, which is largely misunderstood. Because of the varied situations we find ourselves, the economic opportunities that are available in the private sector particularly, lots of people could have gone into those areas. But one, the skill to know that these places exist, the skill to apply to take advantage of it may be lacking. And it's a gap we will seek to address.
So when you say the private sector, you are in this area of public-private partnerships at the government. What exists? I want to be able to tell. I want my viewer or listener who doesn't have a job and perhaps has a skill and is unaware of the opportunity the president is talking about to be able to quickly access them. What are the opportunities within the private sector you are referring to?
I'm referring to situations where you go to a community and then you find that the community lacks a certain good. And you can apply your skill, knowledge, or even effort in providing that good. I was given a practical example by somebody who came forward to me and was trying to help upgrade the knowledge of our people so they can take advantages as we are talking about. And he cited 2 examples. That even in Accra here, somebody goes to where there are grasses. You are not just look for a cutlass or a sickle. Cut the grasses, put it in a sack, put it by the wayside for people who breed animals. Every single day, if you do that, somebody will come and buy. You don't need capital enough to do that.
But you need some skill, and these skills are unavailable.
Yeah, I'm talking about those who have that skill.
Okay.
And he said, okay, even in outskirt communities in Accra, go into the bush. Every stone you find, just lift them, put it in a bucket, come and pour it there. Every day, do that for 1 month. You will have 2 trips or 3 trips of stone. You don't need any skill to do that.
So this opportunity too is there.
And there are lots of people who are...
the president says we don't have the skills.
Yeah. No,
but you say you don't need skills for this.
No, he was saying
the examples you have given, you don't seem to need any skills for
Yeah,
them.
you don't seem to need any skill. You just need to know that these things are available for you.
And these are the creation of the government.
Yes, so we have created a lot of economic activity going on. Buildings are being, going on. Roads are being constructed.
Getting
some
into the bush and picking stones.
Just pick the stones and put them down.
And cutting some of the weeds. These are opportunities created by the government.
Why are you twisting what I've said?
No, I'm just asking.
No,
because that's the question.
No, please don't twist it. I said that I was in conversation. You asked me what opportunities are there in the private sector, not in what opportunities are created by government.
Okay, correct.
And I said that a friend was conversing with me, and he made those remarks.
I admit.
So, but the opportunities created by government are numerous. And I pointed out the construction work going on in the road sector, in the building, bridges, and all the other things that are happening. There are new opportunities emerging, either because you want to supply something, or because you want to engage yourself in constructing, or because you want to take advantage of the many smaller chain effects of the value added that you can take advantage of. We have created, for example, you know what EDIF can do? They are now even soliciting for people who want to produce using our agricultural product to export. People are taking advantage of it. Other smaller organizations such as YES are there. Every year they ask young people to present proposals so they can help them, give them money, and they can give as much as 50,000 to young people to go into businesses of their own. They are all also available. So these things.
So the president expects that by this statement he has made, what should happen?
By the state, no, he was responding to the critic, and he says that if the opportunities are available, you might not have the skill to take advantage of. So he's pointing out to the individuals to re-examine themselves and to see if they can upgrade themselves and take advantage.
Thank you.
And what he's saying is serious. I wanted to help somebody to get into an oil company, and they were saying, yes, we need some people, but we need people in a certain level of skill acquisition. And they pointed them out. And they said if they don't get them in Ghana, they will advertise for international. But they will be expecting Ghanaians outside the country to apply in the oil engineering aspect of it. Which is a skill that we can.
Yes,
I don't have much to say on this. I have to be honest. I need to study what the president said carefully. I really don't understand it. Perhaps it becomes problematic if you make an absolute out of it. Otherwise, in a certain context, there are a lot of unemployed graduates out there. They don't have jobs. So they have skills there, but are not being tapped by our national economy.
They may not have the right skills.
No, but there are areas
of the jobs that are available.
No, then it means the economy, in what sense is it expanding? Okay, I'm uneducated on these matters, let me be honest. But there are too many people out there who have skills and yet aren't getting jobs. The way we link even education and industry, it's not a problem peculiar to this administration. It's a long-standing thing. What are the linkages between education and industry? What are we doing to the uneducated who are unemployed? It's all these things, but I don't have the competence to deal with this.
Right. Let me share some of your messages with the rest of the world. Like Kujopon Kruma will always say. This one from Amachi and Sayebua YK. He says, I agree with Kweku Bako completely in his thinking of what he said. I believe in saying it as it is. Anyone insulting Kweku is not applying common sense. You're also insulting, aren't you? That's what some people will tell you. But I would have said, okay, so you still would have refined it. I would have said, some chiefs are not applying wisdom in endorsing political parties. Okay, so interesting there. So you joined Honorable Rashid Perpo and also Abna in seeking to have Kweku refine it. And that is the note on which Marian Torre says that, please tell Kweku, I say he's a gem. He makes me proud to be a Ghanaian, and his humility is unparalleled. That is on the note on which you sought to refine your statement and said that if anybody feels offended, then you apologize for that. Now, this one is coming from Fred in La Côte d'Ivoire. He says, the president's accounting to the people tour is an exercise in mediocrity. Development projects are continuous, and every government will carry out development projects depending on the priorities of the government in power. The biting economic conditions in Ghana will become the litmus test for the 2016 elections. You are in La Côte d'Ivoire, are you here? And not any development projects. Ata Imoro in Willency says that from what the president said, I can say confidently that the president is not up to speed with happenings on the ground. He is aware that nurses who finished their professional training in the last 3 years have not been posted. Okay, I spoke about that. This one from Idris Odum in Bojuase says the issue of abusing incumbency didn't start today. In 2004, former President Kufuor enjoyed it so much. In fact, few weeks to elections, he was commissioning and continuing sorts and cutting sorts for projects through which he campaigned. The late Professor Mills, may his gentle soul rest in peace, he was quietly went door to door campaigning in 2008 elections. Nanado enjoyed incumbency from his party, though he wasn't a sitting president. Akwesie Champong in Maryland, USA says accounting to the people should not be this is what I bought with the money I took on your behalf. It should also indicate this is how much I paid for this or that. And here is the balance. Showing what you have bought and not how much you bought it. Okay. Kweku Owusu Mensa in Germany says, how about if the president used the money which is being wasted now to develop other villages and towns and are yet to receive other social amenities like water, roads, hospitals, schools, etc. What he's doing now is just waste of state resources. Don't forget, somewhere last year, the same Mahama said he is not going to budge down to pressure from electorate's demand during the election year. Okay, another one from Washington, Wasa Wantram, says, isn't it ironic that the president has to go around and inform the people of the projects he claims to have done for them? The last time I checked, development projects were visible. This is a desperate attempt by the president. You find that ironic. Thank you very much. We'll take a break here, and then when we return, we'll go to Parliament's Public Accounts Committee and the revelations that are coming out there. Police persons or police arresting persons who are seeking to collect what is due as far as water bills are concerned. And NADMO is also collapsing because it cannot pay its bills. There are many more issues with prisoners who cannot have access to government hospital. How ironic is that? We'll be right back.